Welcome to this session on the SAH Caseload Oversight Report. This session is for SAHs sponsorship agreement holders in Risk Management Plan B. Here on this virtual platform, I would like to begin by acknowledging that we are located in various places across this nation we call Canada. We are each residing on the traditional territory of many First Nations peoples. I would like to specifically acknowledge that Toronto, the location of the RSTP main office, is situated on the lands of many First Nations peoples, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Dish with One Spoon Wampum and Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. We invite you to personally dedicate time to learn about, reflect on, and acknowledge the history and land of the First Nations peoples where you reside. Today's session will cover a recap of the Risk Management Plan B, an overview of the Caseload Oversight Report. We'll talk about specifically the reporting cycles and deadlines and the key instructions for completing this report. And then I will show you a brief walkthrough of the report. Risk management plans came into effect in November 2023. Every sponsorship agreement holder in Canada was placed into a Plan A, B, or C. The requirements of each plan can be found in Appendix 2 of this sponsorship agreement. Today's session is focusing on SAHs in Plans B. We are focusing specifically on the reporting requirements and specifically the Caseload Oversight Report. So as you will see in this Appendix 2 of the agreement, it was referred to at the time as the settlement reports. That name has now been updated to the Caseload Oversight Report. The Caseload Oversight Report was implemented on July 1st, 2025. Communication about the Caseload Oversight Report was sent out to all SAHs in Plans B and C on July 3rd of 2025. The report template was developed in consultation with the SAH Association Board and staff and RSTP. It provides SAHs with the opportunity to demonstrate active knowledge, oversight, and monitoring of their caseloads through the sponsorship period. It's important to understand that you are only reporting on cases that are within your sponsorship period during a given reporting cycle. So that includes cases where the sponsorship period has ended or started during the reporting cycle. You are only reporting on cases that have arrived in Canada. And you must still submit an annual report at the end of the calendar year. So this report basically shows your knowledge and monitoring of any cases that you have that have arrived in Canada and are in their first year of settlement. You must still report on any post-arrival issues. So if you have a sponsored newcomer that moves after they arrive in Canada in that first year, so what we call a secondary migration or a self-destination, you must still report those cases to RSAT, the Resettlement Services Assurance Team. If there are disputes within a sponsored newcomer, either with the SAH, with the family, with the CGs, etc., you still must communicate and report issues, post-arrival issues to RSAT. This report does not replace requests for information from RSAT or any case reviews or monitoring. So if you receive a request for information, you must still respond on those specific requests. If your SAW agreement is placed into check-in or not in good standing status, you will no longer be required to complete the Caseload Oversight Report. Instead, this report will be replaced with the post-arrival settlement report. That separate report would be required, but if you exit these classifications, the check-in or not in good standing status, and return to regular status, then you once again will need to complete the Caseload Oversight Report. And similar to other immigration forms, you will want to save it to your computer and open it. It is a PDF form. And the form itself is entitled IMM 0215. So for a Plan B sponsorship agreement, there are 2 reporting cycles each calendar year, and the reporting cycles are the same each year. The first reporting cycle starts on July 1st, 2025, and runs until December 31st, 2025. So any cases that your SAW in Plan B has that are currently in Canada in their first year of settlement during that reporting period must be reported on. The report would be due January 15th, 2026. The second reporting cycle would run from January 1st, 2026 to June 30th, 2026. And again, you would be asked to submit a report on all of those active cases in Canada on the 15th of the month after the reporting period ends. IRCC is going to send a reminder email midway through the reporting cycles. Here's an example of how that would look for a SAW in Plan B. So imagine you have a sponsored refugee that arrives on September 1st of 2025. The SAW in Plan B must include this refugee on their report over the course of the refugee's first year in Canada, their year of resettlement. So for example, you're going to report on this refugee that has arrived September 1st. You will need to report on them in that first reporting cycle that runs from July 1st to December 31st because they're arriving partway through that reporting cycle. You will report on them again from January 1st to June 30th of 2026 because they will be in their first year of settlement. And you will report again on that same sponsored refugee July 1st, 2026 to December 31st, 2026, because their first year will end during that reporting period. Just a note, reports do not need to be submitted for sponsored refugees who have already arrived and completed their first year in Canada by July 1st, 2025. So refugees that arrived and completed their year before this report was issued on July 1st, 2025, you do not need to report on them. Also, you do not need to report on sponsored refugees who have not yet arrived in Canada that are still overseas waiting processing. You do not need to report on them in this report. You're going to submit one form. There is a separate section for each case being reported on. Only report on the cases that are within their sponsorship period during the reporting cycle. So those active cases, cases of sponsored refugees who are currently in Canada in their first year, their sponsorship period. Include cases where sponsorship periods have started or ended during the reporting cycle, and this also includes one-year windows. The report must be signed by either a current agreement signatory or main contact. Once complete, you will send the report as an attachment to the PSR inbox. You must submit this from your SAH's primary email address that is on file with IRCC, or from the email of the main contact or agreement signatory on file with IRCC, and CC your SAH's primary email address. Inform IRCC if you cannot respond according to the timeline. Before we do a walkthrough of the form, just want to highlight that RSTP local and regional trainers are available for support. If you have questions about the form, if you're unsure of the timelines and the reporting cycles, please reach out to your local or regional RSTP trainer. You can find a trainer in your area by going to our website and looking at the Contact Us. RSTP also runs a helpline 5 days a week, and you will find that phone number on the Contact Us page. Trainers respond to questions every day while that on the helpline. So please reach out if you have any issues. Now we're going to take a look at the form itself. So we'll just pull the form up and show you what it looks like. This is what the form looks like. So this is the Risk Management Plan SAW Caseload Oversight Report. Before we begin, I'd like to bring your attention to the final page of the report. This final page, as we just scroll to the end, provides instructions on the completion of the form. Please use these instructions as you fill it out. It's one form. However, you're going to document all of your current active cases that you have in Canada in their year of settlement on this form. So you will complete the information at the top about your sponsorship agreement holder, the reporting period that you are in, and the number of cases being reported on. So here is an example of where you would complete the information from one case. You would put in the application number, the status of the sponsorship, the size of the family, and any non-accompanying family members or additional details. For example, they had a baby after arrival, or there is a 1-year window case pending. A question here is the current community of residence different from the initial destination? As we said in the presentation, you need to follow residency requirements. If the sponsored refugee moves, you need to inform RSAT and meet residency requirements. So if they have moved, you want to indicate that information here, but that does not mean that you do not have to contact RSAT as well. In addition to completing this caseload oversight report, you still would need to reach out to RSAT if the refugee moves in that year of settlement. If you have any questions about residency requirements or need assistance in understanding the steps you need to follow, please reach out to your local RSTP trainer. Here is information that is being asked in the form about any contact your SAW had with the newcomer or the CG and co-sponsor, and the method that you used to contact them. You'll respond to the questions around settlement. Is settlement support being provided? Have there been any challenges with providing settlement support? This is a dynamic form. So if you indicate that, yes, there are challenges, it will give you a space to indicate the challenges that this sponsored newcomer may be experiencing or the SAW may be experiencing in providing settlement support. The financial support section is here to show, are you providing monthly support, startup support, and any financial related challenges. So now we're just going to give you a look at, we filled in a form at RSTP. We just took a sample so that you can see what it might look like when a SAW fills out this report. So we put in a G number. We indicated that they are an active case, that 3 people came in this family, and there is 1 non-accompanying family member. The additional details we provided about the 1-year window application that we submitted on September 25th. Under the current community of residents, it is different, and so we're asked, were residency requirements met and how? So we provided some information that the newcomer self-destined. They stayed in Vancouver on arrival and did not continue on to Victoria. That the newcomers have family members in Vancouver and that IRCC was informed of the situation. And 2 of the newcomer family members were designated as co-sponsors. Here is the SAW contact during the reporting period. How did we reach out? Is there settlement support being provided? And any challenges? When we indicated that, yes, there are some challenges and with language, we were asked to identify, explain these identified challenges and what service providers, if any, have become involved. So we explained that the family has not started English language classes due to capacity issues at a local settlement agency. So just this is to give you an idea that this is a high-level report. It is to give a high-level information on each case that we are actively monitoring for our SAW in Plan B. Under settlement-related successes, we talked about some of the things that have been working for this sponsored family. And financial support, there was some detail about what that has looked like. Any additional comments, you can provide anything if you want in that place. You can then expand the case and complete a second one. So this is where it is one form, but you can report on numerous cases. Once you've provided information for all of your active cases, including any that finished or started their sponsorship year in Canada during the reporting period, the report must be signed by either the current sponsorship agreement holder, signatory, or main contact. Again, the information for completing this form is found on the final page, so we encourage you to follow the instructions that are listed here. If you run into any issues while completing the form, as mentioned during the presentation, please reach out to your local or regional RSDP trainer, and they can help to answer questions about the reporting cycles, deadlines, or questions about the form. That brings us to the end of the session. I want to thank you and wish you all a good day.